Look around you for a moment. A crowded room, a busy street, endless voices, endless opinions. But how many of them are actually thinking? We live in an age where information is everywhere, yet genuine thought is rare. People scroll, react, repeat, but few stop to question. And this is not a new problem. Over 2,000 years ago, Socrates walked through the crowded streets of Athens, asking simple questions that most people couldn't answer. Not because they were stupid, but because they had never truly thought. He wasn't looking for followers. He was searching for something far more rare, people who could think. So the question I must ask is this: in a world louder than ever, how do you find those people today? In this video, we will explore exactly that, through the eyes of Socrates. So let's get into that. Socrates begins with a paradox that most people miss. Real wisdom starts with the courage to say, "I don't know." He reported the Delphic oracle's claim that no one was wiser than him, but instead of accepting it as praise, he questioned it. In the Apology, he describes how he tested supposedly wise men and found something surprising. They were not truly wise, they only believed they were. He wrote, "I am wiser than this man. It is likely neither of us knows anything worthwhile, but he thinks he knows something when he does not. Whereas when I do not know, neither do I think I know. I am wiser than he to this small extent, that I do not think I know what I do not know." This then leads to a powerful realization. Honesty about ignorance is the mark of a real thinker. Socrates never boasted about what he knew. Instead, he took pride in not pretending to know what he didn't. As many have observed, his wisdom lay precisely in recognizing his ignorance. If you want to find someone who truly thinks, listen carefully. They will say, "I don't know," far more often than "I know." Socrates calls this being conscious of ignorance. He tells the court, "I was conscious that I knew practically nothing." This is not weakness. It is intellectual strength. A genuine thinker does not claim omniscience. They speak with caution, because they understand something most people don't. Certainty without understanding is not knowledge. It is illusion. That's why Socrates warns us about the most dangerous kind of ignorance, the clever fool. These are people who think they know. As he puts it, to fear death is to think one is wise when one is not. It is thinking one knows what one does not know. A true thinker does the opposite. They don't pretend to understand what they haven't deeply examined. They don't fake knowledge to appear intelligent. They admit gaps and then try to fill them. So if you want a simple test, watch who is comfortable saying, "I don't know." Those people are far more likely to be thinkers than those who constantly repeat ready-made answers. Socrates didn't search for truth by lecturing. He searched for it by questioning. He compared himself to a gadfly, constantly stinging the city of Athens into awareness. And this gives you your second rule. If you want to spot a thinker, watch how they engage with questions. Thinkers don't avoid questions. They chase them. At the core of this is curiosity. A true thinker has an almost restless need to understand. As modern descriptions of critical thinking put it, they constantly seek knowledge and are eager to explore new ideas and concepts. This inquisitiveness drives them to ask questions, challenge norms, and be open to new experiences. This is exactly what Socrates embodied. He didn't accept authority, tradition, or popular opinion at face value. He challenged everything. So when you're in a conversation and someone keeps asking, "But why?" or "Is that really true?" pay attention. That person is thinking. Socratic thinking is not about agreement, it's about dialogue. In the works of Plato, Socrates never delivers long speeches. He asks, listens, and then asks again. A thinker today behaves the same way. They don't dominate conversations, they deepen them. They respond with follow-up questions, not just opinions. Even when his life was on the line, Socrates relied on questions. In the Apology, he cross-examines his accuser. "Come now, do you accuse me of corrupting the young and making them worse deliberately or unwillingly?" "Deliberately," he says. And Socrates calmly replies, "What follows from that? Are you so much wiser that wicked people always do harm to those closest to them, whereas good people do them good? I do not corrupt the young, or if I do, it is unwillingly. Either way, you are lying." Even in a trial, he doesn't defend himself with emotion. He dismantles assumptions with logic. That's your signal. A thinker doesn't just react. They analyze. They are dialectic by nature. They enjoy the back and forth of ideas. Socrates himself said he would question and examine and cross-examine anyone who claimed to care about truth. A thinker is comfortable in this process. They don't run from scrutiny, they invite it. Another powerful trait, they seek precision. Socrates would press people until their vague answers collapsed. When he asked, "What is piety?" he didn't accept surface-level responses. A modern thinker does the same. If someone says freedom, they'll ask, "What exactly do you mean by freedom?" They don't tolerate vague language. They want clarity. They keep digging until words actually mean something. But here's where most people fail. They debate to win. A thinker debates to understand. Socrates observed this flaw clearly. After exposing people's contradictions, he noted, "At first they did not know what I was talking about. And then, when it was made clear that they pretended to know what they did not, they became angry with me. They say Socrates is a most abominable person. He is corrupting our youth." In other words, people would rather protect their ego than pursue truth. A real thinker does the opposite. When proven wrong, they don't get defensive. They get curious. They say, "That's a good point. I hadn't considered that." That willingness to change is rare, and it's one of the clearest signs you found someone who truly thinks. Socrates didn't just teach this, he lived it. He described his mission as walking through Athens, urging you, young and old, not to care for your person or property more than for the perfection of your souls. And he made it clear, "I will question and examine whomever I meet." In metaphor of gadfly, Athens was the lazy horse, and Socrates was the one who refused to let it sleep. This gives you the third rule. If you want to spot a thinker, look for the one who disrupts comfort. Thinkers don't just observe the world, they challenge it. You'll notice this first in conversation. While most people try to maintain harmony, the thinker introduces friction, but for a reason. They might question a tradition, criticize a popular opinion, or ask why something is done a certain way. They are not being difficult. They simply refuse to accept ideas without examining them. Socrates himself did exactly this. He didn't flatter the powerful or pander to the crowd. Instead, he exposed assumptions. So when you're in a group and someone says, "Wait, why do we even believe this?" Pay attention. That's the Socratic instinct at work. Another sign, discomfort with shallow talk. Socrates criticized Athens for obsessing over wealth, reputation, and status, while neglecting deeper questions of truth and the soul. In his words, people cared for everything, except what truly mattered. A modern thinker reacts the same way. They don't enjoy endless gossip or surface-level chatter. You might even see them disengage or subtly redirect the conversation towards something meaningful. They are not antisocial, they are just uninterested in the trivial. But the strongest signal of a thinker is this: they speak truth, even when it costs them. Socrates warned the jury directly. "If you kill me, you will not easily find another who, to use a figure, attaches himself to the city as a gadfly to a horse. But if you take my advice, you will spare me." He understood the role he played. Remove the one who questions, and society falls back into comfortable ignorance. In today's world, the thinker is the person who calls out hypocrisy, challenges injustice, or questions popular narratives, even when it makes them unpopular. Like Socrates, they may be misunderstood, disliked, or dismissed, but they persist. Because for them, truth matters more than approval. You'll also notice a certain urgency in them. Socrates saw his mission as something almost sacred. He said there was no greater good than his service to philosophy. He would involve himself in others' thinking, like a father or an elder brother, constantly urging them toward reflection. Socrates challenged the beliefs of his time so deeply that it cost him his life. He was accused of corrupting the youth and introducing new ideas. But in reality, he was doing something far more dangerous. He was teaching people to question. Socrates captures this spirit powerfully when he addresses the people of Athens. Men of Athens, I shall obey the god rather than you. And while I live and am able to continue, I shall never give up philosophy or stop exhorting you, saying in my accustomed way, Most excellent man, are you not ashamed to care for the acquisition of wealth, when you neither care nor take thought for wisdom and truth and the perfection of your soul? He describes his life even more plainly. For I go about doing nothing else than urging you, young and old, not to care for your persons or your property more than for the perfection of your souls. If by saying these things I corrupt the youth, these things must be injurious. But if anyone asserts I say other things, he says what is untrue. This is the essence of the gadfly, someone who cannot remain silent in the face of shallow living. In his final speech, Socrates challenges an Athenian with a powerful question. Are you not ashamed to care for wealth, reputation, and honor, when you neither care nor take thought for wisdom and truth and the perfection of your soul? This reveals how a true thinker values wisdom above all else. In everyday life, such individuals invest time in learning, even when it costs them comfort or financial success. You might see someone working a modest job but spending their evenings reading philosophy or science. Others may volunteer for causes not to build a resume, but because of genuine conviction. These people reflect Socratic virtue. They place the soul above salary. Socrates also believed in unwavering moral integrity. He claimed he would rather die than do wrong, showing that principles matter more than survival or success. A thinker reflects this same consistency. Their standards do not change based on convenience. Like Socrates, they follow conscience over pressure, echoing his stance. I shall obey the god rather than you. At the heart of Socratic philosophy lies the idea: the unexamined life is not worth living. Thinkers live by this principle. They reflect deeply on their experiences, question their beliefs, and search for meaning. They may journal, meditate, or engage in thoughtful discussions about ethics and purpose. They do not live on autopilot. Instead, they live deliberately, constantly examining their lives. In contrast, those who simply accept life without questioning it lack this Socratic depth. A true thinker also shows resilience in discussion. They care more about truth than approval. Socrates himself refused to escape punishment because he believed in standing by his principles. Similarly, a thinker today does not change their views just to fit in or gain praise. They are willing to hold an unpopular but honest opinion, even in the face of criticism. In meetings or conversations, they stand firm on ethical concerns, even if it makes others uncomfortable. Like Socrates, they are not afraid to challenge others for the sake of truth. Socrates also emphasized that character comes before material success, stating, "Virtue does not come from money, but from virtue comes money." A modern thinker expresses this same idea by valuing depth over display. They might argue for a meaningful life over a flashy one, or insist that being right is more important than being rich. If someone says, "I'd rather be poor and right than rich and wrong," They reflect the Socratic mindset. Thinkers connect their values to a clear philosophy of life, while others simply chase convenience or status. Another powerful statement from Socrates highlights his moral clarity. I do know that it is evil and disgraceful to do wrong and to disobey him who is better than I. So I shall never fear or avoid those things concerning which I do not know whether they are good or bad, rather than those which I know are bad. Socrates believed that thinkers are not only found in isolation, but in communities where ideas are shared, tested, and refined. He himself gathered people around him, in marketplaces, homes, and public spaces, engaging in dialogue with anyone willing to question and reflect. From this, we learn that true thinkers often find each other. To recognize them, you must look beyond individuals and observe the circles where meaningful conversations take place. Socrates made it clear that his search for wisdom had no boundaries. I search and investigate at the gods' behest anyone, whether citizen or foreigner, whom I think is wise. This shows that thinkers can be found anywhere, among the rich or poor, educated or uneducated. In today's world, such spaces include universities, book clubs, debate societies, writers' workshops, and even online communities. Just as Socrates spoke in the agora and gymnasiums, modern public squares exist in libraries, discussion panels, comment sections, and intellectual gatherings. If you are looking for thinkers, go where ideas are openly discussed.